Is that hundreds and hundreds of registered Republicans have been in line and are still in line, which should serve as a welcoming sign for party leadership. 6 million years ago, this would have been a lake and we would have been underwater. And those volcanic rocks over there would have been the rim of the lake. Most of the Republican candidates are here, except for a notable one, and that's the front runner, Sam Brown. We also just heard that Jeff Gunter, his biggest challenger, might also cancel, even though he was on the list of expected candidates to be here in Tonopah. Every dollar spent in the local economy on developing Rhyolite Ridge, $2 goes back into the community as a whole. GOP caucus, it's DeSantis, Ramaswamy, Chris Christie, and of course, the former president is committed to the caucus. And the Nevada GOP is hoping that the voters are committed to it as well. The summit is all about raising funds to improve the environmental quality of Lake Tahoe. It's a private-public collaborative spanning jurisdictions, government sectors, the science community, and Washoe tribe. Today's keynote address, former U.S. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Looking around the world, Israel is at war after Hamas' surprise attack. As of now, the death toll in Israel has reached at least 250. We have a live report for you on the attack. Ian Lee joins us from London. Ian, what do we know? Sure, you're cutting the appropriate species, which is outlined in your permit. No more than 6 inches in diameter, and you want to be cutting within 10 feet of another tree. Legislative leadership today is also comprised of trial attorneys. Both the Senate Majority Leader and Speaker of the Assembly work for trial attorney firms. And the CBS News poll also found that voters feel the economy was better under Trump. And many voters say their own finances today are worse than the time before the pandemic. So I'm in this drainage culvert. It's behind a restaurant where an employee here off of Red Rock called in about this toad explosion. And I talked with a biologist, and she says this is a good sign. For one thing, these toads, they eat a lot of insects. Opening the ice rink at Grand Sierra Resort is basically one of the major kickoff events of the Christmas season. Yeah, Ryan, Better Nevada PAC spokesman John Burke tells me they open record requested communications between Democratic Las Vegas Assemblywoman Michelle Gorillo and ARC of Nevada, knowing full well that request would be denied. Assemblywoman Gorillo announced on LinkedIn that she had joined the ARC of Nevada as executive director just weeks after she was a part of an assembly vote to appropriate hundreds of thousands to the organization.
We were curious about what happened here with Assemblywoman Gorillo, because clearly she took this position days after she made a very crucial vote to give $250,000 in taxpayer appropriations to an organization that she had a role with.
The appropriation passed under Assembly Bill 525, or the Christmas Tree Bill, which earmarks tax dollars for various nonprofits across the state. That vote happened near the end of session in June, when the legislature suspends all rules, putting decisions out of public scrutiny.
State legislators are completely exempt from open records requests, which is not the case for the governor, the attorney general, other statewide constitutional officers. So they are held to a lower ethical standard, which is something that we find really troubling, especially when these legislators are passing and considering laws that are very important to the lives of all the communities in Nevada.
Vote Nevada Executive Director Dr. Sandra Cosgrove says these stories happen more than you'd think.
Technically, apparently, it's okay. Technically, this is not a conflict of interest. But for many of us, we look at it and say it feels like a conflict of interest. It feels like this shouldn't be allowed. So the question is, then what do we do about it?
Cosgrove says it will keep happening unless voters demand that legislators are put under open meeting laws and open record laws.
If we don't get any movement from the people who need to be regulated, because they're going to have to change the law to regulate themselves, then that's where the initiative process comes in. That's where we talk about doing a ballot question. And if enough of us think this is wrong, then that's what we should do.
Yeah, the Legislative Council Bureau tells us that Assemblywoman Gorillo satisfied the standards to make that vote. Yeah, Ryan and Kristen, the main point of the criticism for the DAs is AB 236, which is a sweeping criminal justice reform bill that was passed by the Nevada legislature in 2019. The DAs say the new laws resemble reform policies in California that they believe are failing society. However, Erica Roth, a Reno attorney, says that Nevada is taking a different approach that will ultimately strengthen communities.
I could stand here literally until next week talking about the failures of California and what has happened to our beautiful state.
Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp warned Reno business leaders that Nevada is becoming more like California when it comes to criminal justice reform. But progressive Reno attorney Erica Roth says Smitkamp's message doesn't lead to real solutions.
When we're seeing this kind of red herring or this fear-mongering, it's not really fair to the community to say, you need to be afraid of this thing, but I'm not going to tell you that it's evidence-based.
What I've called this shift in the last 3.5 years is the erosion of criminal consequence in Nevada.
Washoe County District Attorney Chris Hicks joined Smitkamp and presented statistics showing a rise in crime in Washoe County. He cited the passage of Nevada's 2019 criminal justice reform bill as the reason for the spike in crime in Nevada's second largest county.
Property crime is up 7%, larceny is up 14%, vehicle theft 15%. Disturbingly, violent crime is up 8%.
AB 236 was designed to reduce the prison population by lessening the severity of charges for theft, drug possession, and reducing bail, probation, and sentencing. A key piece to it is that it raised the threshold for a theft felony from $650 worth of stolen goods to $1,200.
Our theft threshold for felonies is about the median for the country. So states like Texas, I believe Minnesota, their theft thresholds for felonies is $2,500. And so it is true that ours is higher than California, but it's apples and oranges. The state of Nevada is different, and we've approached criminal justice reform in a different way.
In contrast to Washoe DA Chris Hicks' 2-year statistics, Roth says look at the bigger picture.
You look at 5 years before that, 10 years before that, we're seeing these trends come down.
Roth also points to a new statistic showing recidivism, or criminals reoffending in the state, is at an all-time low. Well, first of all, the convention was closed to the public and press, so we weren't able to get there. But this weekend, the party officially added 2 new resolutions to their official party platform. The first opposes the implementation of diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, in school policy or curriculum. The second says that the Nevada GOP supports the prohibition of biological boys and men from bathrooms, locker rooms, and sports designated for girls.
It is absolutely a safety concern. I'm sorry, but biological men do not belong in the women's locker room.
The Nevada GOP contends that Title IX has been misconstrued and that it was intended to prohibit discrimination for girls and women only, not trans people. But ACLU of Nevada says that stance is openly discriminatory.
People who are not committed to equal rights consistently use anecdotes and hyperbole to try to push points forward. They create boogeymans and monsters out of every group they can find.
The Nevada GOP also holds the official resolution that biological boys or men should not be permitted to compete in sports intended for biological girls or women.
If you're the parents of a girl that's competing at the high school level and has the potential of getting awarded a scholarship to college, and a biological male comes along and strips them of that opportunity, is that fair?
The other resolution in the Nevada GOP's platform opposes diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, in K-12 policy and curriculum.
Our schools should be teaching science, math, reading. The social issues should not be a part of the curriculum that's taught at the schools.
It sounds as if there's going to be an attempt to either skirt and pull back on the existing interpretations and protections afforded by Title IX, or attempt to overturn the Equal Rights Amendment, which simply isn't going to happen in Nevada. I think it's cheap political theater.
Now, the Nevada Democratic Party contends that the amendments show that the Nevada GOP candidates are running on an out-of-touch agenda referenda, while in part, quote, passing tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy while leaving the middle class behind and tearing down our democracy, end quote. The ACLU of Nevada says the Nevada GOP's platform amendments are not wise politically because Nevadans voted twice to enshrine equal rights in the state constitution. Covering the story, Josh Meny, 2 News Nevada.